Hey, what's up, everybody? Thank you so much for joining me for another episode of Let's Talk About It Jam. But I have a brand new thing going on, y'all. I am spotlighting all my kings that need to be spotlighted, that are doing their thing. Swag of a king. This is what we're doing. This is it. So I have my first king here with me, Mr. Deshaun Harris, aka Cali Kuts. He is here with us, talking to us about who he is and what he does. So, Mr. Cali Kuts, let everybody know who you are, where you're from, and what you do.
Well, I'm the world famous Cali Kuts. No, I'm just playing. I'm kind of local with it right now, but I'm trying to take it to another level.
No worries.
Yeah, like I cut hair. I have a barbershop in Tyler, Texas. That's East Texas, if you don't know. I started about 3 years ago, and the name of everybody calls me Cali or Cali Kuts because that's the name of my barbershop. Okay. So, yeah, I've been in business for about 3 years now. Things are headed in a positive direction. Well, I mean, you can ask me anything you want concerning that.
Gotcha. So what brought you to Texas? Because I know you're not from Texas. I know you're not. So what brought you to Texas?
Okay, so I was born way back in the 80s.
Don't do that.
You know what I'm saying? I was born way back in the 80s. I was born on the West Coast. I was born in a small city outside of in Orange County, outside of LA, called Los Alamitos. But I was raised in the San Diego area.
Okay.
Shout out to the 619. I stayed in San Diego to my senior year in high school. My mom ended up getting married to somebody she was dating since I was like in junior high from this area. And with the cost of living, even when I was growing up there, it was really high. And so my mom felt at the time that she'd never be able to own anything in Southern California. She'd always be renting and so forth and so on. Right. So she decided to make the migration south. Along with that, I went with her. So I moved to Texas when I was a senior in high school. I graduated from Robert E. Lee in 2002. So shout out to Robert E. Lee. I really don't have a lot of connection with Robert E. Lee. I was there for a short time. But from that point, I was in East Texas off and on. I went to the military for a brief stint, came back. By my mid-20s, I started having kids. So I trying to figure it out, trying to sort through things, you know what I mean? Right. Find myself I don't know, try to find myself in a place where I'm an alien, you know what I'm saying? So
yeah. Okay, well, class of 02, I'm a JT Lion, so I'm gonna represent all the way.
Anyway. When did you graduate?
02, class of 02.
Okay.
Class of 02.
So we still young with it?
We still young with it. Still look good. You know what I'm saying?
Man, got it.
Right there. But anyway, yeah. So, okay. So with you had to come from all the way from California to Texas your senior year. Like,
man,
I know that had to been like a culture shock for you. I mean, coming from.
For sure. A culture shock, to say the least.
Yeah.
I remember because like I would try to do anything I could to stay in California, and I was just at that age where my grandmother wasn't having what I was trying to do. You know what I'm saying? So I stayed a little bit after my mom moved, but ultimately I ended up coming.
Well, hey, we're glad you're here.
Oh, man. No, but what I wanted to tell you is that when I wrote the Greyhound down here, right? Mm-hmm. When the Greyhound pulled into Tyler, there was somebody riding a horse. Okay. And it just like fed every stereotypical narrative that I'd ever heard. And I just start crying, man. I'm not gonna lie. I start like tears just start rolling down my cheeks. Like my life is over. Do you hear me? My life is over.
No. Listen. We do ride horses. We do have on our cowboy hats and our boots, but that is not all we do. I know you've seen that.
Well, from a stereotypical standpoint, it's much different when you don't understand the culture. Like when I was younger, I didn't understand gold teeth. Like I grew up around lowriders and Dickies and khakis and sunlight and boogie boards and beaches. You know what I'm saying? Right. So when somebody's ignorant to a culture, it's like you only hear about the bad stuff, or you only hear about the stuff that you're really not into. Like, man, what you gonna do in Texas? Like ride horses and possibly you bite. But when you get on the other side of things, you get to experience the culture, and you get to see why people are into what they're into. Furthermore, you get to understand it. And with understanding, I think, comes appreciation or extreme dislike. But now, being here so long, I can appreciate the culture. I can appreciate people washing their car 5 times a week, driving with nowhere to go. I can appreciate that.
Okay, we gonna keep it moving with the shots.
Like, not too much. Not too much.
But no, okay, so with you being here in Texas, I know that, you know, you being an entrepreneur, you're doing your thing, you got your, you know, your own barbershop, your own spot. How has that journey been for you on that standpoint, on, you know, being a business owner and entrepreneur?
Well, to say the least, man, I've always kind of been like an independent thinker. Mm-hmm. And when you're younger, you kind of get in trouble. You get whoopings for that, you know what I mean, for having an opinion. So along my, like when I said trying to sort through it, trying to find myself, I would always, I'm a fast learner. Excuse my stammer, but I'm a fast learner. And so I would get a job. I was like a good job getting dude. You know what I'm saying? I'd learn the job. I'd get into a job, get a good position, and I'd learn the job, and I start to look at it from an infrastructure standpoint. Mm-hmm. And I start to see the value in me doing what they wanted me to. Right. Not to say that that's wrong or right, but I would just see like, well, it's not like their value, their equity is in me behaving the way they want me to. Whether that was like grooming standards or wearing a uniform, it was basically really religious. It just didn't have a God, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. You know, that was interchangeable with my supervisor here or there, you know? But anyway, so my last good job was in the oil field. And mm-hmm. being a former athlete, you know what I'm saying? That's like the next best thing if you don't live out your childhood dream. So I got in the oil field and I'm super psyched. Like I'll do whatever it takes to make that oil field money. Right. So there were people that I worked with that were not, they were really standoffish. Like, look, you go take them tests. I'm good where I'm at. Don't nobody bother me, so forth and so on. So I kind of look at them like, all right. So whenever the opportunity came to take another course, continue education, things like that, I did so. Within the oil field, I got my CDL and a couple other credentials. And again, I just started to look at it like, man, like I'm never gonna make enough money to not have to come back here. Right. You know what I'm saying? Right. And around that time, like I said, I was having kids and stuff, and they were young, and it's just stressful being away and things like that. So for me, I was beginning to think by year 3, like, what can I do? You know what I'm saying? To etch my own path, like blaze my own trail. And I ended up getting hurt. So that's not the way I wanted to go about it, but I ended up getting hurt. I got a minor back injury at the end of 14. Shortly after I got hurt, I found out that the company was going to close and they were going to offer me a position elsewhere in the country. And I was just kind of like, I was kind of disheveled by that. Like, so basically, not only do I have to do whatever you want, whenever you want me to, now I got to move. Right. I didn't agree with that. So I got hurt. Long story short, they closed that office, and I was still on light duty. You know what I mean? But they just had me sitting in the office. Meanwhile, everybody's cleaning out the office. I'm sitting there next to a phone, not doing nothing all day. Like, all right, at least I'm getting paid, you know? Right. And then I get a call from our parent, or not our parent company, but our supervising office in Houston, our hub. And they're like, how are you getting hours, ... There's no work going on there. And I was like, well, this is what I was told to do. This is what I was told to sit. And it was like, well, so-and-so is not your boss anymore. I am. And you have to come to Houston. I was like, I don't know legally, I don't have to do anything. Like, I'm on light duty and I got hurt under such and such and such and such. So they kind of looked at me like, oh, I know it all. You know what I mean? Like, kind of like getting drafted to a professional team and then the coach changes or the general manager changes. And it's like everybody's looking at you sideways because they didn't bring you in. Right. Before that point, I was like a shining example, young black operator, you know, CDL and whatever else they needed, welding and all that stuff. And now I was a black sheep. Now I was an outcast. So needless to say, they tried to force me to move to Houston. I told them that was an indelible offer, which meant that they offered me a position that I couldn't afford to make. So in all forms and facets, legally, their offer wasn't even an offer. You know what I'm saying? It was just them trying to cover their tail, right? Right. So in that, just to understand that, I did some legal research. You know what I'm saying? Because I was told by HR that if I get a lawyer that they stop talking to me. So I became my own lawyer. Right. So I did some research and I found out how to handle them. You know what I'm saying? Instead of blowing up, getting mad, and getting emotional, I educated myself. So along the way, the correspondence between HR corporate and I lasted about 4 months. No income coming in, pink notices coming. I'm trying to hold my ground. I'm trying to hold my ground. Like my I forget what it's called. It slipped my mind, but workman's comp. It wouldn't pick up until my workman's comp wouldn't pick up until I did what they told me to do, because they work for them in essence. Until they work for you, they work for them. You know what I'm saying? Right. So it's one of those things. Needless to say, so again, another long story short, I end up going to Houston. I go to Houston, I'm on light duty. So everybody that's not light duty is kind of looking at me like, this dude don't do nothing, or they already heard about me. Like, I'm a young black dude, and I got more credentials, and I'm making more an hour than plenty of people on their yard. Right. So they just kind of got this preconceived notion about me. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not, I wouldn't say I'm a know-it-all, but I'm confident, and I'm not going to bow down to somebody that's my subordinate, whether they've been there longer than me or not. Like, I did what you wouldn't do, and that's why I make more than you. Point blank, period. Right. So guys are like hens, you know, when it's all male, and whispers start. And slowly but surely, those whispers go back to somebody who matters, and then they come back to me. Mm-hmm. They had a problem with me. It was what it was. Before I got there, they already had a problem with me. But I went down there on a premise that they would pick up my medical care for my injury, and I would nurse myself back to health and then go back full duty. Right. Okay. So within the realm of legalities and malpractice, most doctors don't want to stick their hands in somebody's mess. Right. So they had trouble finding a physician or a practice that would take me in, being that somebody had already started on me. Within that time, man, like, it was just like one thing after another. I had double living expenses because I had a place down there, and I still had my family up here, and I was on light duty, limited hours. And then, needless to say, I had a truck that I cherished. Like, I had rims on it. It was shiny and nice, and they stole it from my job. They stole it during the day, man. Houston is ratchet, but they stole my truck from the job, and I really feel like it might have been a setup. I don't know. I was probably the most hated man on campus at the time, and so my truck got stolen, and I was just like crushed. And I was like, you know what? I don't want anything to do with this, but I gotta take. I'm come this far, so I gotta kind of take the proper steps up out of this. Right. So when they wouldn't touch me, I called my doctors up here. A couple doctors that kind of foreseen the kind of drama I was going to go through. And they were like, if you ever need anything, give us a call. Right. So I placed one of those calls, and I was like, you know what? You told me to call you if I ever needed you. This is that call. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So I made the call, and they were like, look, just tell them this, tell them this. They were just giving me tidbits of information to go to give to, like, when they send me to a therapist or something. I tell them therapists and therapists like, oh, you can go. You know what I'm saying? And I go back and report to corporate or to my immediate supervisor at the yard. I was like, hey, they said this. Of course, my supervisor didn't understand the jargon, so he forwarded it to corporate. And corporate, you know, they play phone tag and what have you. So they just kept like, who is this guy? Does he have a lawyer? Why does he know this? You know what I'm saying? They're like, look, they're like, look, either you can come back to work or you can go home. And I was like, I weighed my options. I did some more research, and they're like, well, if I go back home, they have to pay me. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And all I wanted to do was be treated fairly. So I went back home. Due to that indelible offer, they cut me a nice check. I was able to pay some bills down and stuff like that. Then my workman's comp picked up, and then I really learned the game. Yeah. Meanwhile, I discovered that there was some kind of return to work initiative within workman's comp that they had to offer me, being that I was a full-time employee there. Mm-hmm. So towards the end of my recovery or what have you, they asked me what I wanted to do. And so growing up, single mom with 5 kids, I'm the oldest of 5. Shout out to the fam. But I'm the oldest of 5. So I cut my own hair growing up. I've never been one of those guys that kick it for the sake of kicking it with people. Yeah. But so I never cut everybody's hair, but I cut my own hair. So when they asked me what I wanted to do, I was like, man, what's the cheapest way to become my own boss? I already had a CDL, but due to horror stories and investing in trucks and having to have so much capital to get started, and you might lose a lot and this, that, and the third. I was like, you know what is the cheapest, safest way for me to become my own boss? And I was like, I can cut hair, not even thinking of everything I would go through to get to where I'm at today. But my hindsight being 2020, it made sense both financially and what I had been through and physically. I just wanted to be my own boss. I don't want anybody to be in control of my quality of life any longer.
Right.
So, so when they told me that, I said, I want to go back to school. So I went back to school. I got my barber's license, 15 hard hours. I did a hard time. And most of my time I did at Tyler Barber College, which is now closed. Thank God I got in and through before all that happened. And funny thing is, I was scared to cut straight hair. Like because I didn't want to mess up.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So a buddy of mine that went to school with me, he opened up a shop down in Palestine, Texas. So I went out there to mess up because I don't want to stain my name here. I know our people are unforgiving when it comes to their hair. So I want to go ahead, so I want to go sharpen my sword. You know what I'm saying? Get myself together. And then I spent about 16 to 18 months out there, like dragging myself through it. It was rough at first, but I drug myself through that and got an opportunity to go into business with who's now my business partner. His name is Chris Pringle, but his name is Profit Shares on social media. Okay. We got rocking, and he kind of believed in my whole outlook on business and getting started, and me feeling like the building that I actually live right across the street from through that whole process could actually be something. You know what I mean? So like when I was sitting on my porch, depressed, like waiting on the mail to run, I was looking across the street at this building, and it was something about the building, something about the location that I felt like it could turn into something that it hadn't been. And today it is. So
that's awesome.
That's where we sit at now.
Yes, I love the way that y'all have decked it out. I mean, the graffiti just sets it off. I love it. Right. I love the space. It's awesome.
And what's crazy is that there's a story for every story. When we first got started, the neighborhood is real old fashioned. And between the north and the south of Tyler, there's this Mustenu. I don't know if I use that word right, but there's this outlook that the north is bad. You know what I mean? So I felt like we could shed a whole new light, because where I'm from, I feel like I know bad. Now, I know it's all perspective based and you don't know what you don't know, but I was like, man, there's good people over here and we can make business shake over here and show other Black business owners or entrepreneurs that you can get it where you're from. Like now, once you grow to a certain extent, you can take it elsewhere, but I think we rob ourselves of the riches of our culture, because the first thing we want to do when we start to get established is take our talents elsewhere. And not to say that I'm not from here, but I spent enough time here. My kids are from here to show and prove like this can be done. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. I love that, and that's true. That is so true. And I feel like a lot of the North Side business owners, they take their business to the South once they get bigger. And absolutely. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. Listen,
nothing wrong with it at all.
But absolutely. You have to show where you were from, like how you got yourself started. So
well, for me, it's like showing my people, because like I watch, I do a lot of YouTubing and watching videos. I sleep to like nerdy stuff. I'm a nerd. But long time ago, I was watching a Chris Rock stand up, and one thing that stood out to me was he was like, I'm one of the top 5 comedians of all time. And if not of all time right now, but you know who my neighbor is? An orthodontist. You know what I'm saying? And it kind of encapsulated our Black plight, our African-American disposition. It's like, if you become successful in your neighborhood, you become a target. You know what I'm saying? But so our ideology is to get our stuff together and then go to a neighborhood where we're the only one of our kind, and then we're ostracized. You know what I'm saying? We're under a magnifying glass at all times. You know what I'm saying? So where does the successful Black entrepreneur, Black person, period, go? Where do we find solace? You know what I'm saying? We want to be sovereign. We want to be debt free and not have anything hanging over our head. But we hop out the skillet and into the frying pan in regards to that. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
And so like my whole thing is not to say that I'll never move, and not to say that like this is more or less God's plan. I'm I'm just rolling with the punches. You know what I mean? But I just think that once we're able to establish that we can be successful where they want to lock their doors at, or where they feel like they're not safe at, when we can show them that we just like you and we give money to, and we don't need your approval to do anything that we want to do, like that's powerful. You know what I'm saying? That's impactful. Like that, there's no amount of money that you can hand to somebody, or there's no favor that you can bestow to somebody that's going to show them in real time what success looks like.
Right. I agree with you. I totally agree with you. Okay, so what are your goals like for the next, I would say maybe 5 years? Where do you see yourself?
I thought about franchising, honestly, because that was, you know, when you're a little kid and somebody asks you what you want to be, and you like try to think of the biggest word possible because that's just going to be good. They're going to be delighted with that.
Yeah.
What I would like to do, honestly, is like crumbs to bricks. Like I come from the street, and like the corporate America is a lot like the streets. There's just no paperwork involved. So when I say crumbs to bricks, I mean taking this barbershop, and instead of franchising it, I want to make bosses out of my barbers. Whatever they want to name their barbershop. You know what I'm saying? We put all of those businesses under an umbrella as subsidiaries and create a financial structure to where, you know, the root gets paid. It might trickle down economics, but at the same time, it's the same thing that they teach in school that we can teach to ourselves. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. That's awesome. I love that.
Yeah. I mean, and like I said, we just have this preconceived notion, this preconceived misunderstanding that we're supposed to be front and center. We're supposed to be the star quarterback, not really taking the time to see that everybody on that roster is going to get paid. If you go to the Super Bowl and get a championship, in reference to football, everybody's going to get a ring.
Right.
So it's not about staying in place, or it's more or less about serving your purpose so that it'll be easier for you and for the person behind you to succeed. So like I said, naturally, if I would have named my barbershop Deshaun's Barbershop, everybody who ever had a negative opinion about me could be like, I'm not messing with him. I don't mess with such and such and such. You know what I'm saying? Or if I would have called it Dallas Cowboys Barbershop, yeah, I would have had some jerseys coming in and out the door, but it wouldn't have been anything different. You know what I'm saying? I could have called it Northside. But again, nothing that really stands out to you. So I beat myself against my business partner, and I talked a lot about what I wanted to call it, what we're gonna do moving forward. And at first I wanted to do the chop shop. I wanted to have like a mechanic-based thing. And I thought that was cool, but it was already taken. So I was like, you know what? I'm from Cali. Let's call it Cali Kuts. I have a niece by the name of Cali. So it was already floating around in my mind. I was like, let's call it Cali Kuts. And at first they're like, what? And I was like, man, look, it might sound stupid because it's nothing right now, you know? Yeah. But if you think about names like Snoop Dogg, Method Man, you know what I mean? Puff Daddy, these names are only as good as the person became that holds that title or that name. You know what I'm saying? So in essence, we got to make it cool. You know what I mean?
Right.
And so just taking what I understand and like some things from my culture that I'll carry around with me on the inside, I decided to let them out. So that's why you see the graffiti on the walls and different references to different places and times and spots that I've been in my life.
That's awesome. So did you do the graffiti, or did you have?
Actually, I didn't. I just had an idea. You know, I am artistically inclined, but along with myself, there's a Black-owned beauty shop next door and a Black-owned tattoo shop as well. So the tattoo artist, he had a background and all that stuff. So I just told him what I wanted and kind of the scope. He gave me a budget, and we ran with it.
That's what's up. Look, I love the vision. I love the dream. It's what we need, especially on the north side, because we need the motivation and the push of other Black entrepreneurs to make it. I mean, I love that. Absolutely love that.
I appreciate that.
Absolutely. Okay, let me ask you one more thing before we go. So the pandemic, okay, I know a lot of people are, they're wrecking their brains. They're like, oh my God, how am I going to get through this? Has the pandemic affected you as much as anybody else that you've noticed, or did it even affect you at all?
Of course it affected me. It affected me because like sometime in April, I believe, things started to get real slim into March, but like I want to say like April the 20th or 24th, something to that effect. Texas shut down barbershops and beauty shops. My hand-to-hand money changed a lot for that stint. But crazily enough, like there's some people that businesses went away and they're not coming back and things like that. But what I capitalized on is I got on Facebook heavy, and like I might post a lot of like memes or look like funny stuff or like weird little stuff, but I always integrate my business. You know what I mean? Like now that I got your attention, Cali Kuts. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And what I found is that the resonance of my business started to I started to hear echoes because there were so many more people stuck in front of their phone at home than were out running the streets with like a chicken with their head cut off. So the fact that I had an audience that was tentative and there and on their phones for that extended period of time, I was able to etch my logo into their conscious, just like a cross, like the Nike symbol. You know what I'm saying? And that's my premise. Like when you see my logo, you're gonna associate it with something that blows your mind, like orgasm. You know what I mean? So I was afforded that opportunity, and I wouldn't say that the pandemic brought the hustle out of me. It just put a filter on it. You know what I mean? And polished it up a little bit. It helped me to convey my thoughts and my ideals to people that probably wouldn't ordinarily have the time to take that in.
Absolutely. I like to hear that because, you don't want to hear the sad stories of, oh, I had to close my business down or, oh, I couldn't do this, but to actually capitalize and to build on what this is our new norm. This type of stuff right here, doing stuff on Zoom and
we come from pressure. And sometimes it busts pipes, but sometimes it makes diamonds. I like to feel like I'm a diamond.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I love that. Okay, so who do you listen to? Like, who's your mentor? Who do you your motivation from?
Let me tell you, man, I pull from different parts of everywhere. Like, when I was growing up, like, a lot of people like, man, you use big words. So when I was growing up, I used to always be in trouble. I was managed. So my granny, when I was on punishment, she would make me write out of the dictionary and read almanacs and stuff like that.
Oh, wow.
And so when I was at a very impressionable age, like I had a vocabulary. I had to grow into the understanding of what it actually meant. But all in all, that's one thing. And then I'd have to sit at the end of her bed and write out of the dictionary, and she'd be watching like Farrakhan and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Not to say that I'm a Muslim by faith, or not to say that I'm full-on Christian. I do have, I'm very spiritual. I believe in like universal balance, but I just listen to different mentors, like from all the way from like Hindu dudes to like Black people. I listen to some financial advice from people like Grant Cardone. Not to say that we making the same moves, but it's all about the premise and the ideology. Like if I can relate to like your angle or your perspective, then I can make sense of my own realm. You know what I mean? In my own lane. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
But like I said earlier in the interview, I'll start listening to some stuff, and I'll just go to sleep with my phone by my head, just listening. Like, so hopefully it's playing in my subconscious, and it's helping me to understand the things that I don't understand. I'm super analytical, so like I want to understand before I want to take part in anything.
Absolutely, and you're supposed to. I mean, you're supposed to.
Yeah, but me personally, like I didn't grow up like knowing that. It was just like I'm a little standoffish. Like if you tell me something, I'm not gonna listen to your resume. I'm gonna watch how the people around you treat you. Then I'll know if you're a boss or not. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely. And hey, there's nothing wrong with that. You know what I'm saying? You have to make sure that the people that are around you or the things that you get into are something that works for you. So
absolutely.
That makes sense.
I mean, I started out with big eyes. Like I started out like, whose parking spot is that? You know what I'm saying? Only to find out that like that's the Queen of England. Like it's a nice parking spot and it's a nice car. Yeah. But outside of that, they don't run nothing. You know what I'm saying? So I started like with the movers and the shakers, like the people that clean the bathroom. I want to know how they feel about it. I want to know how the dishwasher feel about it. Then we could talk about the food that I'm gonna eat in the hour, but I want to know how everything moves. Yeah. So I know how it moves. I know where I fit within that structure. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
Or how to like master that structure. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. I get it. Okay, so what would you tell somebody that is trying to get into what you're getting into or what you're in already? What motivation would you give to them, or what nugget would you give to them getting started?
I would honestly tell them to keep faith and let them know that like forget the money initially, because like your real money is time. Like that's the only thing that you're gonna spend that you can't get back. And that Oh, and one person I got to rest in peace to Nipsey Hussle. Like I've been a Nipsey fan since 09, 10.
Yeah.
And like I really like vibe with his whole outlook. You know what I mean?
Yes.
We really lost a good one.
Yeah.
But getting back to the topic, you're gonna go through every single emotion imaginable trying to chase your dreams. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like there's gonna be so much advice from people who have taken the umbilical cord and do a 9-to-5 type deal. Like why do you beat yourself up trying to be this and that when you can just come down to my job and you see how I live? And I'm like, yeah, I see how you live, and that's what I don't want to do.
Right.
But all in all, like not to say anybody's right or wrong, just for the way I'm wired, just for my spirit. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Just know that you're gonna go through everything. Like you're gonna doubt yourself, you're gonna fail. And I think the difference between what I'm doing and somebody who's gonna take a beaten path is that I'm not afraid to fall on my face while everybody's looking. I'm not afraid to fail.
Yeah. That's deep because entrepreneurship is not for everybody. You know, everybody, you know, 9-to-5 people, hey, I commend you. I've been there, I've done that. Entrepreneurship, look, I'm new to it, but I'm loving it. And I feel like this is what I'm supposed to do. So it's like you have to find a balance, something that's good for you. So I love that.
You have to be able to look yourself in the face because at the end of the day, that's all you got. Like, and if I can look myself in the face and know that I'm headed in a direction, like it's unforeseen. I haven't been there. It's uncharted territory.
Right.
But my thing is like Nip would say, like, I'm trying to vertically integrate myself in this business. Mm-hmm. I started out with a pencil and a notebook. Then I got some clippers. From clippers to some scissors or shears, excuse me. But like I said, just from there to retail. Mm-hmm. And that's everything from do-rags, brushes, greases, bundles. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. But there will become a point in this business where you can't miss me. Whether it's where it's like in front of the camera, whether it's on a tutorial, whether it's, you know, retail things like I got behind me in the sales case, but I'm going to vertically integrate myself in my lane to where you cannot miss me if you come into my lane.
That's what's up. Hey, that's what it's all about. That's entrepreneurship right there.
Absolutely.
Well, thank you so much for your time, Kelly. I appreciate it so much. Is there anything else that you want to share with the viewers that are watching with us right now?
I want to say that anybody that's going to step out on their own and on faith, do it for yourself because you're going to have to show yourself that you can actually do something that nobody's doing. Right. But 2, do it for somebody else. Like, do it. Like, for me, like, do it for the kids. Like, I grew up without my dad. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. But I always wanted to show kids there's more than one way to be cool. You know what I'm saying? Because we get wrapped up in being a star, being a rapper, being an entertainer. Like, there's more things that you can be. You know what I mean? Because the best thing that the world has to offer or hasn't even here yet. And you could be the person that bring it here. You know what I mean? So again, I'm not reinventing the wheel. I'm just taking my angle at what a wheel looks like to me. Yeah. And maybe it might turn into something else. You know what I'm saying? Absolutely. Maybe we might be riding on motorized roller skates one day. I don't know. But until that point, I'm gonna just, like I said, keep trying to vertically integrate myself into what I'm doing now. And then I can split it like a stock and do both things simultaneously. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. Well, I love it. Hey, and I'm hoping and I'm praying that you get to where you're supposed to be and where you want to go because you have what it takes. And that's why you're here. That's why you are a king in my book. So I appreciate your time. And hey, guys, thank you so much for watching. Go ahead.
Before you go, why don't you tell them how you cheated on me as a barber? Yeah. So like I said, viewers,
oh my God.
Like I said, viewers, like no matter, you're going to go through a lot. You're going to have people tell you, you're my new barber. I just love the way you cut. And they're going to cheat on you.
Listen, and I will never. Look, I will never do it again. I swear to God, I need one right now. Like, I'm just like, listen, we gonna talk. Don't worry about that. We gonna talk. But listen, don't cheat on your barber, okay? Do not do that. But hey, I'm just asking for your forgiveness in front of millions of people right now. Do you forgive me, Kelly?
You know what? I have no choice because that's the nature of the game. But I'm never gonna forget.
Look, I feel like he gonna get me, y'all. So y'all see it? Y'all see it right now. Y'all are my witness.
Y'all get in the comment section, because when she tells you how much I charge her now, as opposed to before she cheated, I want y'all to give her all the heck that y'all can.
Oh my God. Okay, whatever. All right, guys. I thank y'all so much for watching us. This has been a fun interview. Thank you so much, Callie. I appreciate you for coming and spending your time with me. And guess what, guys? We just talked about it. So thank you so much. Y'all have a good one. Peace out.